largest aquamarine in the world is called the Dom Pedro, named after the two emperors of Brazil. It is a 60-pound, 2-foot long, 10,363 carat obelisk. When they first got it, they didn't know what to do with it. They saw the beauty, they wanted to keep it all intact, so they created a brand new cut called the fantasy cut. Something for you to think about when you get dressed in the morning. Discover the value in your story.
So this award lets me know that good morning, bonjour, comment ça va? Et toi? Ça va très bien. Bienvenue, benvenuta, benvenita, namaste, and welcome. Welcome to another exciting episode of Gem Hunter Stories. My name is Barry B. Mixon, and I am a gemological storyteller. And what I do is I take the art, science, history, and magic of gemstones, precious metals, and fine jewelry, and I somehow put them all together into a story. What I discovered over many years is that many of the same characteristics, the traits that you find in gemstones and precious metals, you find in people. So what I do is I take those stories and I use them as a template, as an inception point, as a bridge to help people, to empower people to discover the value of their own stories, of not only the stories of who you are, but the stories of the people around you. I want people to understand how they interact with the light. Good morning again. Today is another day. Today is the 15th day of March, the halfway point of Women's History Month. Thank you, Barbara. And as I tell you each week, I go on a journey. And when I come back on this show, I kind of take you on where I went to during this journey. So I started thinking, when you look at a gemstone, what do you see? When you see a gemstone or piece of jewelry, what do you see? You see the beauty of it. You sit there and go, oh my God. But you don't really see what is it made out of? Where did it come from? As we celebrate Women's History Month, it's the same thing. We need to begin to look deeper into what it took to make that piece of jewelry. What did it take to make the women that we celebrate this month, all the stories that we're hearing during this special month? How do those women become who they are? What is the significance of that woman wearing that absolutely gorgeous aquamarine and diamond necklace and the woman who's actually wearing it? Those rubies. When you see those gemstones, who is that woman to wear something like that? Because jewelry actually accents the person that's wearing it. So therefore, if you begin to understand that, you begin to understand the significance, the symbiotic relationship between gemstones and women. Gemstones and people, but it's a lot more fun when you talk about it, women, because you could just see the similarities. That gemstone, that diamond is from Namibia. That woman is also from Namibia. So what is the correlation? As some of you know, so today's show, we're going to talk about the beauty of metamorphism. Metamorphism. And the reason why I started thinking about this is because of what I do when I'm not here with you. As most of you know, I am a teacher. I teach science and history all over the world, and mostly middle schoolers. So we started talking about the rock cycle. Come on, you remember that. Remember that? The rock cycle. Some of you sitting there like, yeah, I remember the rock cycle. What do you remember? Maybe you did it in 4th grade, 5th grade. I teach mostly 7th and 8th grade. So the rock cycle. Remember the rock cycle? The rock cycle consisted of, remember, say it after me, igneous rock, not ignorous, not ignorant, but igneous rock, sedimentary rock, and metamorphic rock. And when you learned about the rock cycle, you learned about all the different things that has to happen. All the rocks on Earth are generated like this. The rock cycle is a continuous process that has been happening from the beginning of time here on this Earth. So we got concepts like cooling and melting and heating and weathering and erosion, compaction, pressure. These are all the things that took place during the rock cycle in order to create the gemstone that you see today. But we don't think about those things. We see the gemstone, we're like, okay, that's a beautiful aquamarine. That's a beautiful ruby. That's a beautiful diamond. The same thing we do when we talk about women. We see this beautiful woman, but we don't understand. We see this. And when I say beauty, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not talking about just external beauty. I'm talking about internal beauty. I'm talking about spiritual beauty. So let's go over one by one. And what I'm going to do is, as the purpose of this show is to show you the analogy between gemstones and women and see if this works for you. So the first one of the rock cycle is igneous. Remember we talked about igneous rock. And think back. Some of you sitting there thinking, man, I haven't thought about this since 7th grade. Exactly. So igneous rock. We know that igneous rock, first you have to understand that igneous rock is the prime rock. Most of the rock on the earth, about 90-95%, it comes from igneous rock. Igneous rock is that rock that was created when a volcano erupted. That's igneous rock, when it cools. Okay, so you're talking about rock that had endured 2,500 degrees, 1,400 degrees Celsius, for those of you who work in Celsius, my European family and members. 95%. So just to let you know that definition, magma is that rock that's inside the earth. So when the rock hasn't left the earth's surface, or haven't left the basically the crust of the earth, that rock is called magma. And then when it actually erupts, it's called lava. Just to kind of give you, and I know some of you are rolling your eyes. The science is going to be fun, not difficult. I promise you that. So this is lava. This is probably Mauna Loa in Hawaii. This is lava. This has been actually going on since 1985, 1987. This volcano, the most active volcano on Earth, is in Hawaii. So literally in Hawaii, they're creating new land all the time because of these eruptions. So the main process of igneous rock is what? Heat. Tremendous heat, 2,500 degrees. You can't even stand next to a erupting without having special equipment on. These are the gemstones that come from igneous rock. You're talking about beryls. This is the month of March. So your beryls, your emeralds, your aquamarine, your heliodors, come from igneous rock. Your rubies, your sapphire, corundum is the overall family. Diamonds, garnet, peridot, spinel, topaz. These are all the gemstones that come from igneous rock. So what igneous rock is, when you look at Heliodor, what you're doing is you're looking at a rock, a gem material that has gone through thousands of years to become this. Once you find it, then you have to polish it. Then you have to cut it. You have to shape it. When you look at a black diamond, millions, sometimes 1 billion years old. This piece is 1 billion years old to make this. The black Olaf. Yeah. The largest black diamond in the world. This is what it looked like in the beginning. Well, at least, colorless diamond. The Culligan diamond. This is what it looked like when it started to become this. This is one aspect of that diamond that diamond took millions, billions of years to produce to ultimately come to this. Emeralds, all right? Emeralds is a beryl. Emeralds is the gemstone, not for March. March is aquamarine, the sister, but we'll talk about emeralds. We talked about some emeralds last week with my wonderful guest, Dr. Santi. Her favorite gemstone, not only just favorite, her spiritual gemstone is emerald. So it took this millions of years to produce to ultimately come to this. Rubies. And we talked about rubies being the sister gemstone of sapphire. So these gemstones come from the forces of heat. Thousands of per 2,500 degrees, this gemstone sat in the earth. Not only just the rubies, but also diamonds, which come from even a lower level in heat in the earth to produce this. But that's not what you see. When you see this, some of you are sitting there salivating right now. This is an absolutely gorgeous piece, I know. I'm looking at it like, wow. But this piece, think deeper. When you see this, how is it? How did it get to be this? Here's aquamarine. And this is the Santa Maria aquamarine, the highest level, the highest quality of aquamarine. So when you buy aquamarine, when you celebrate aquamarine, because this is your month, I don't even go there. So what happens? So igneous rock, this is how it relates to you. Because we're talking about metamorphism. We're talking about change. So when you see a woman, and this woman is a beautiful woman, again, not just externally, internally, her spirit, her energy, the way she takes care of her children, the way she takes care of herself, the way she takes care of her husband or her partner. What you're seeing is the culmination of not thousands of years, but hundreds of years, decades of fire, decades of things that she had to endure in order to become what you see. You can make that analogy between the heat, the pressure. Every woman who's watching this show knows that she has gone through something in her life. She has gone through something in her life, that fire, that thing that she had to go through. There's some of the viewers watching today. I know that they have experienced death of a loved one, death of a husband, death of a sister, death of a family member in their life. That's the fire. How many women watching today have gone through things in regards to the way they look or the way they feel, or how tall, just the fact that they're a woman? Every woman on the planet has gone through some type of fire. So therefore, the same processes that it took to make this aquamarine are some of the same processes that it takes to make you who you are. Those are the women that we are celebrating in Women's History Month. So that's igneous, right? Then we have sedimentary. Remember sedimentary rock? Sedimentary rock is the rock that comes in layers. Remember, it's millions of years of layers. The definition is are types of rocks that are formed by the deposition and the subsequent cementation of minerals or organic particles. What that means is over thousands of years, the rock keeps building up one layer on top of another layer on top of another layer. And anything that died in that process is also contained in that. So you also have organic materials, things that used to be alive now are dead, and over thousands of years, that's a part of it. That's a part of it. And when you're talking about sedimentary rock, it's just using whatever's in the area. There's nothing new that's changed. Sedimentary rock is using all the things that's currently in that environment to produce the gemstone that you see. So when you look at sedimentary rock, you're talking about weathering and erosion. Think about that in your life. Weathering and erosion. So that means weathering, rain, every single day for hundreds, thousands of years, weathering, wind, being buffeted by constant wind. Make the analogy between that in your life. How many of you have gone through days, weeks, months, years of weathering? Any woman who's had a child understands weathering, because you had to go through 9 months of raising a child, a human being within your body. Every month, women go through different things, hormonal changes, all these things, weathering, erosion, keeping yourself beautiful. You were the high school beauty queen, and now you're older. Now you're 40, 50, 60 years old. So what you have to do as a woman is to constantly be on the lookout, be aware, be conscious of erosion. And what I'm here to tell you is that same weathering and erosion that a gemstone has gone through still produces beautiful pieces of jewelry, beautiful gemstones. You still got beryls, you got opals. Remember what weathering is. Weathering is something with an opal where you have the drying out, the dehydration of the material around it. So therefore what you're left with is an opal. This is black opal, the highest level value of opal. Opal is normally found with somewhere where it's water, lots of water, and then all that water. Now it's a desert. Now it's completely dried out. Quartz, turquoise, malachite, azurite. These are all gemstones that has come as a result of weathering. Here's aquamarine. Look at it. This is so when you see someone, a woman in your life that you know has gone through different things in her life, but yet her spirit is this. Her energy, the light, how she interacts with the light came as a result of weathering and erosion, to the point where this gemstone would not exist. This beautiful black opal would not exist without the weathering and erosion. Here's turquoise. Here's turquoise. Look at the blue. Look at the gold flecks that's in that. That's what was the environment that this sedimentary rock grew up with. So make that extrapolate that to your own life. What did you grow up with? Your family, your environment, the neighborhood you grew up, the schools you went to, created who you are today. Malachite. Look at the completely different molecular formula than a turquoise, but look at the way malachite interacts with the light. It's not transparent, but look at the colors. Look at the swirls, the different way that those chemicals manifested for this gemstone. The beautiful cobalt color of azurite. It's beautiful just in its raw form. So just imagine what it can become. So some of the ladies who are watching today have understand what weathering and erosion has made them into. That it's the things, the process, the struggle, dealing with 2, 3, 4, 5 kids. That's weathering. Mommy, 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 mommy. That's weathering. Cooking, cleaning, washing, and still going to work every day. And still dealing with special men like me. Every day. Every day. Dealing with sexism and racism and all these different things that you have to deal with. That's the weathering. That's the erosion. But it's those things that you've gone through, and more importantly, the things that you've overcome that allowed you to become the gemstones you are today. And then it brings us to part of the rock cycle that, in all honesty, I didn't understand. I knew it from a scientific point of view. I knew about igneous rock, and I liked igneous rock because we were talking about volcanoes. Boom, easy. I understood sedimentary rock because sedimentary rock, you can see it. You can see the different layers of sedimentary rock. So I understood it. But when I learned about metamorphic rock, it didn't really resonate with me. It didn't really resonate with me because metamorphic rock is not just, it's a completely different concept of metamorphic. So you may not necessarily see it. You see the finished product, but you don't see what it took to get there. Metamorphic rock comes from it's heat and pressure. In fact, there's 3 ways to make metamorphic rock. Remember the whole rock cycle? Well, for metamorphic rock can be made from igneous rock. It can be made from sedimentary rock. It can also be made from other metamorphic rock. But the key thing I need you to understand about metamorphic rock is that it changes, read it, it changes the original or the parent rock into a completely new rock. It's new. The way you look at it, the way it feels, the texture, the chemical properties, the characteristics of it changes. Different chemical and physical properties of metamorphic rock, heat and pressure. Ladies and gentlemen, ladies, think about heat and pressure. Just take 10 seconds to think about the heat and the pressure that you have endured to be who you are today. And in fact, I didn't really start thinking about it. I was teaching this class last week, a couple of days last week. And when I got to metamorphic, I was just like, well, shoot, my mama went through this. My mother went through, I can tell you all 15 women off the top of my head that I know for a fact of what they've gone through. The heat and the pressure that they've gone through. Making ends meet, trying to keep the family going, despite what's going on either within themselves or externally. Heat and pressure. Change. Metamorphic rock is about change. The beauty, this show, the overarching theme in this show is the beauty of metamorphism, because it's about change. And what metamorphic rock talks about is not just change, it's transformation. Think about that. Transformation, meaning that whatever it was, whatever it started out to be, it changed into something different. Think about who you were 10 years ago, 5 years ago. Think about who you were in high school. You were shy. You were the young lady that, nobody wanted to go out with because you were too tall, or you were too your complexion or your hair, or you had a different look. or you were good in math, and because you were a girl, people looked at you differently. You were a young lady, a girl, a young woman who knew how to fix cars because that's what you were into. And your father took you your father really wanted a boy, but he took you around and you learned how to fix cars and fix trucks. You understood that. There was a whole transformation. It was a transformation of who you are, or who you were and who you are today. And metamorphic rock, these are all the gemstones that come as a result of metamorphism. Think about it. These are all the gemstones you know. These are the gemstones that I've been showing you for the last, 3 years now. Beryls, corundum, sapphires and rubies, garnets, lapis lazuli, malachite, jadeite, nephrite, spinel, topaz. These are all the beautiful gemstones that come from heat and pressure. Now look at the definition. That's what's so exciting to me as gemology. I can look at a definition, and for me, I don't know, it's like I just see how it applies to us. So here's the definition of metamorphic: relating to rock that has undergone transformation by heat, pressure, or other natural agencies. And maybe I didn't finish my thought. So metamorphous rock comes from either heat or pressure or both. So now how does that relate to you? Right? How does the science of metamorphism relate to you? So let's just change the words. Metamorphic relates to a person who has undergone transformation by their family, social pressure, or by some other natural or unnatural agencies. Remember all the times you were teased as a child, as a young girl? Remember all those days? The whole reason why, or at least one of the biggest reasons to me, why we celebrate Women's History Month is to take an opportunity to look at the women who have undergone metamorphism. I guarantee you, every woman, I don't care where you're from, I don't care what country you came from, I don't care what every woman that we now celebrate in Women's History Month has undergone one of these processes. And more importantly, many of them have undergone metamorphism, that they had to change. Maybe oftentimes the change wasn't what they wanted. Oftentimes the change wasn't something that they enjoyed. Oftentimes the change was horrible. Think about how many women who have gone through different sexual transgressions, their father, their mother, their family members, and it changed them. And they had to make the difference between you as a woman and a gemstone is that you get a chance to make the choice of how you're going to interact with the light. So metamorphic rock is a rock that grew up in an environment, and because of heat and pressure, tremendous heat and pressure, diamonds are formed with 70,000 pounds per square inch pressure. So we're talking about pressure that's, for metamorphic rock, maybe a little bit lighter than that. It's like someone's having an elephant sit on you and go, well, no, we got a skinny elephant. Still an elephant. Pressure. And that pressure, that heat was so profound that it changed them. It changed that gemstone on a molecular level, not just structurally, but on a molecular level, where now the atoms that make up that gemstone is different. It's been transformed. And there's 3 types of metamorphosis. That's the thing that gets me. It's like the secret, so many of the secrets that we need to learn about our own lives can be found in gemology. The gemstones tell you there's 3 types of, here we go. There's 3 types of metamorphism in the whole concept of rock cycle. 3. There's contact metamorphism, regional metamorphism, and dynamic metamorphism. And like all of you, like many of you, when we learned this in 4th grade, 5th grade, 7th grade, we were like, yeah, you took the notes. But because you understand stories, you look deeper. You say, okay, contact metamorphism. What does that mean? Contact metamorphism is when the magma, which is in the earth, right, comes in direct contact with something that already exists. So how does that relate to you? Contact metamorphism is when you had to deal with something in your life. A boss, a husband, a boyfriend, a girlfriend. Somebody in your life has affected you directly. Has done something inappropriate, has said something wrong, who put you through something in you. That's contact metamorphism. That it changed you. It changed you. You had to deal with that. I think about that scene in Hidden Figures with Katherine Johnson, where she had to walk a half a mile or mile just to go to the bathroom. Just to go to the bathroom because she was a Black woman working in a room full of white men who had very little respect for her. And yet she had to still become. That's contact metamorphosis. Every day. Many of you are getting ready to go to work right now knowing that's what you have to deal with. Contact metamorphism. How something, magma, heat, pressure is affecting you directly. Then we got regional metamorphism. Okay, and this is Mount Everest. Regional metamorphism is when you have a galactic change. I mean, I'm talking about unbelievable pressure. We're talking about India. Tectonic plates. India wasn't always where India is. India ran into Asia and it builds mountains as a result of that. Mountains. Unbelievable pressure that comes as a result of that. And these are the gemstones. These are the things that was created as a result of that pressure. Mountains. And when we get to, and then I'll save it. So when we get to the other side, when we come back, I'm going to talk about the gemstones that became as a result of this type of metamorphism. See you on the other side.
We never complained. We never said, I'm childhood, right? Childhood, play. We want to play. I don't want to do all this. Never. Because it is an excitement. It is something. What mother used to tell us, what father used to tell us. And we had many opportunities. And we had seen INS Mugger, INS Vikrant, warships, Navy people, what they live, how they live, and how we can use the thrown away thing that we brought it back and made milk and distributed to the orphans. And that left a remarkable image in my memories.
Think about it. Dr. Santi from India, the same forces, the same titanic forces that created these mountains. These are the Himalayan mountains, the tallest mountain range in the entire world. Continents colliding into each other. Here is Dr. Santi, a woman coming from an ancient culture. And despite all the things that she had to go through as a woman in a culture, and yet look what she became. She became the mountain range that emanated from the area and the country that she grew up in. And then you have, so that was regional metamorphism. Then you have dynamic metamorphism. Dynamic metamorphism is even larger. Is even larger as regard. Dynamic metamorphism is when you're combining together not only just the heat, not only just the pressure, but also the heat. The heat comes with. So when you think about dynamic metamorphism, you have to think about this is Mount Kilimanjaro, the tallest mountain in Africa, that came as a result of the African continent running into the Asian continent. This is Mount Kilimanjaro. In fact, sorry, not running away, literally separating, creating the tallest mountain, the roof of Africa. And you know what comes from this area? In fact, the only place in the world that it comes from? Tanzanite. Tanzanite is only found in one place on earth. Right there, the foothills of Mount Kilimanjaro. This gemstone comes as a result of those type of unbelievable forces to make something so beautiful, so elegant. These are the gemstones, rubies. This is lapis. This is lapis. This is lapis in its natural form. So here is this beautiful gemstone that came as a result of heat and pressure. And that heat and pressure made it change, made it transform into something completely different. Ladies, just sit there and think about how much you've changed in your life. Think about who you were. Think about the things. Just look at, don't go anywhere like what you're going to do next year or this week. Right now, just if you have a mirror anywhere near you, look at the person that you are today and realize, think about how much of who you are today came as a result of heat and pressure. Yeah. These are all the gemstones that come out as a result of that. Heat pressure, garnet. This is what garnet looks like in its natural form. It doesn't look like nobody would wear a ring that looks like that, but this is what happens with heat and pressure and someone understanding what that is. That's what we're celebrating in Women's History Month. Here's an emerald. Look at it. Look at the light that glows from within. And yet, this is what it becomes. And the reason why this is so important, jade, a gemstone that is one of the toughest gemstones in the world. You can't just cut jade. There's a difference. And I told you before, there's a difference between hardness of a diamond and toughness of a jade. A diamond can break. A diamond's molecular structure, if you hit a diamond, it will break, or what they call cleave. But because jade is polymorphic, meaning the atoms come together in a kind of an irregular way, you can't cut jade. How many women, how many ladies watching this program have survived, have thrived despite the heat and pressure? Metamorphic. And today, what makes it feel special for me is I get a chance to tell you about someone. What have you gone through? Today's homework assignment is to think, what have you gone through in your life? What have you gone through in your life? What event caused the metamorphic change for you? And today, what I get a chance to tell you about is somebody who I know, who is the living embodiment of metamorphism. Today is March 15th, and I have the honor and pleasure of saying happy birthday. Come on, Barbara. Happy birthday to my best friend, to my executive producer, who is just, Batman and Robin. Okay. I'm Robin. This is Batwoman right here. Good morning, Barbara. Just take out the other. Just do us. Yeah, good morning. Happy birthday to Barbara J. Beckley. Barbara is now finally 21 years old. You can finally take her out to dinner. But
we can multiply the
reason why this resonates so much to me is because I know who Barbara is. Barbara's told me the things that she's gone through in her life. Barbara has gone through horrendous. Barbara's mom, and those of you who watch this show for the last couple of years know that my mom was special. My mom was special. But I found out that my mom, Anna, is Barbara's mom, Sally. I think we're cousins, actually. When Barbara tells me the things she's gone through, I'm like, damn, that's what my mother put me through. For real?
For real.
Mom, Barbara's father was murdered. I'll never forget when she told me that. I had known Barbara for a couple of years in Toastmasters, and we were sitting, remember, Barbara? We were sitting at a Toastmasters conference, and we were just talking, and the conversation just went to different places, and then she told me that her father was murdered. And I remember it just like, what? Not because I've never met someone who had experienced that. It was just what impressed me was that Barbara was what she is, who she is, the way she interacts with the light. And you never would have thought that. You would have never thought that she had gone through. And when I say that, it's not, it wasn't like she was a young child when she was grown when this happened. She saw the scene. So, Barbara, what I want to do is ask you, first of all, again, happy birthday. And tell me what changed. Tell me what, when you have to think about it, I'm sure there's lots of, but tell me one thing in your life that has helped you become this beautiful woman that you are today.
Well, first of all, it's an honor and a privilege to be on your show, Mr. B. Come on, we got to give it up for that.
Woo! Thank you.
So going to your question, it's every time, I bring up that, your story, because the story, and a lot of people do that, listen to me, about my dad. Mm-hmm. The thing that really sparks all the time is a need. And I never said it like that before. And the reason why I'm saying that now, as I, go through life and think about it, is I'm really my father's voice right now. And I always said that, that was when that whole change and when it happened and stuff. I always said, I had to be a voice, my mission to be a voice for other women so they can have their voice out there. I want to be the example of that for them, because I was, even before my father, died, I was going through all that trauma with bullying when I was growing up. So I always looked at that. But then now I'm looking at the fact that it was a need because my father's no longer here and his voice went away. But then I said, I feel like it's a need for me to be his voice, to embody him. Because he looked at people so loving. He was just a lovely person to the point where he just looked at everybody just so like above everything. And he didn't care what you were, what race, anything. He just knew that you were just a special person on this earth. So I told myself, I said, I think that's a need that I need to do moving forward. I think that's really transformed me in a lot of ways.
What's really interesting, and I'm going to shock the audience just like Barbara shocked me. Barbara's father was white. And I'm not talking about like, kind of like white with like a deep tan. Barbara's father was like white, and I'm like, whoa, that's your dad? Okay, because a lot of people will say, if you got a white mother or father and a black mother or father, it's like you come out like, no, I didn't. So when Barbara told me that, I was like, yeah, okay. And then it wasn't until Barbara showed me this picture of all her cousins and stuff around, all of them white kids, okay, except Barbara. And Barbara's like, and it's like, wait a minute.
I can't believe you didn't find that picture and put it up here today.
It's just, oh, trust me, there will be another time. Afterthoughts, I will find that picture. But when you think about what I want you, the audience to hear is, because you've watched Barbara in her own show, you've seen her here. Look at the beautiful woman that she is. Look at the spirit. Look at the energy. Barbara has changed my life. Barbara changed my life. The person that I used to be. I'm not talking about hundreds of years ago. Even though I feel like 100 years old sometimes. But I'm talking about 3 years ago. 3 years ago, when Barbara first asked me on that airplane sitting on Charles de Gaulle Airport, hey, Barry, you want to do a workshop about what? Okay. Hey, Barry, I'm going to create this thing called the Diamond Factor Network. You want to be a show? About what? So every week, I've been doing gemology for 19 years, and it's really only been in the last 3 years, 4 years that I realized, oh my God, what can I do with this? This is what happens. This is the beauty of metamorphism. The things that she experienced, her mom being special. Sally was special. Okay. I mean, it's like, I think Sally and my mom, Anna, just sat around and said, what are we going to do today? I know. I know what we can do, Let's just beat them. Yeah, okay, that sounds good. Weapons of choice. But yet, out of that experience, out of that heat and pressure that I experienced, that Barbara experienced, that many of you have experienced, helped you become who you are today. You are that tanzanite. You are that amethyst. You are that emerald, that aquamarine. Even today, those of you who don't know history, today is the Ides of March. And Barbara used to hate her birthday. Because what happened, you know why they call it? Well, it's from Shakespeare, of course. But the Ides of March, March 15th, I guess it's about 400 or 500 years ago. This was the day that Julius Caesar got assassinated. But what people don't really realize is that he just was a man who didn't listen. Because his woman, Cleopatra told him, yo, Julius, let me holler at you for a second. You don't want to go there by yourself. Oh, baby, I got this. Nah, baby, you ain't going to make it. You ain't going to make it. She told him what he needed to do, that he shouldn't go to the Senate. That's why Mark Anthony went with him, because she was like, Mark, can you go with my man? Because I don't think he's going to make it. All right, I'm going to go with him. They redirected Mark Anthony somewhere. And then, of course, they say, hey, Julius, how you doing? We like you. So here is another woman, Cleopatra, who tried to tell him, you don't want to go. And because Julius Caesar, he knew that Cleopatra was fine and all this stuff, but he didn't recognize her value. He didn't recognize the things that she had gone through. He didn't recognize that she came from a family where everybody was killed by your brother and sister, whatever else, and she was a woman, and that she was going through all the stuff, and she was not maybe physically as beautiful as other women or what people, but yet she was a queen. Mm-hmm. She spoke 8 or 9 different languages. She created companies. Rome didn't know anything about perfume before Cleopatra in fashion and color. So she took the heat and the pressure of growing up as a woman during the first, second century to become who she was. Barbara took the experience of being a black child, a little black little girl, little chocolate gumdrop, a chocolate a milk dud, okay? A chocolate milk drop in a sea of cream. I can't wait to show you that in a sea of cream in the 60s. And yet, despite all the things that she has gone through, today we celebrate a gemstone. We celebrate a gemstone. So in my mind, as a gemological, when I see Barbara, I just pick out what gemstone she wants to be today. Aquamarine, tanzanite, topaz, diamond. Yeah. Because I know what she's gone through. I know how she has transformed. So, Barbara, do you think of yourself? Okay, so yeah. Last question. Today's your birthday. How do you feel that you interact with the light as a result of the things that you've gone through?
I feel like with what I do and what I believe in, I always say I want to make an impact. I'm always saying that. And I feel like with my stories, like you said, the value of your story, going back to what you always say, it always goes back to that no matter what. That I have hopefully I have connection with people so they understand that they can be, like you said, the diamond or the emerald, whatever gem they want to be. And that's what I want to put out there is that, just make sure, again, going back to your voice, going back to who you are, understanding deep down that you are special and not just out here like some people think they are. And I feel like I'm that bridge for people.
Thank you. So let's just all wish together. This is a global show. So literally, Barbara, all my friends, all of Gem Hunter Story family all over the world, let's give it up for I can't hear you. I'm in Chicago. Oh, wait, I hear a little bit. Let's go. Happy birthday to Barbara J. Beckley, my friend, my angel here on earth, and more importantly, my gemstone. And so I hope you enjoyed today's show. Your homework assignment, because you got to get a homework assignment, is to appreciate the gemstone that's in your life. Appreciate the gemstone that you are, and understand that every gemstone that you've ever loved in your life, the ones you wear, the ones you want, the ones you cover, came as a result of something had to happen. Heat, pressure, the different environments, and that's what helped you become the person that you are today. So as always, my name is Barry B. Mixon. I am a gemological storyteller, and I hope this show has helped you begin the process in the journey, the wonderful journey of discovering the value of your own stories. So until next week, au revoir. Atatella, voila. Nothing has value without a story. That is the essence of Professor Barry's Science Emporium. Ladies and gentlemen, science is all around us. It is in everything that your child does. It is in everything that your child wants to be. So what I do is take their stories and incorporate it into the stories of the lessons that I want to teach in science and history. And I guarantee that at the end of the lesson, your child will either love science or have a much greater appreciation for science and history, because they will come to realize, as thousands of children have come to realize all over the world, is that at Professor Barry's Science Emporium, everything is science. I hope I have the opportunity to work with your child. Professor Barry's Science Emporium, where everything is science.